21 minutes past the hour of 8. Still live here on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. And as advertised, high up on our agenda this morning is the issue of national peace and partisanship. I've got on the phone lines right now Dr. Victor Doke, peace and security expert, and he'll be joining us to expand on these themes. Doc, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning as we slice and dice, if you will, dissect this issue of a peace pact and its actual impact before, during, and after the election. But for the uninitiated, how important are peace pacts to an electoral process?
Well, thank you very much. In general, a peace pact is very much important, not only in elections, but in generality. You talk about conflict, violent conflict, you realize that actors or stakeholders in a conflict will have to come after negotiating things at some point in time, and then through an arbitral mediator, they can agree to sign a peace pact, agreeing not to go back to violence, agreeing to use peaceful means to resolve every kind of situation. So with regards to elections, a peace pact is important as it gives various meanings. One, it tells the followers of the political parties that we are agreeing or we are sticking to the principles of peace, the principles of non-violence in addressing issues that is going to the courts or seeking the alternative dispute resolution mechanisms to address our grievances when it comes to elections. So all the parties, the political heads, it is envisaged that all of them will come together and agree and append their signature, and thereby adhering to the principles of peace, the components of peace, the characteristics of peace, which includes campaigning on good messages, not inciting your followers, and then also adhering to the principles of respect and not agitating the other political parties. A peace pact can also be used as an evidence or a reminder to any political head or political followers who are going contrary to what has been said earlier on in the peace pact. And then it's gently to remind them, this is what you've signed on to, peace all the way before, during, and after.
Right.
And even in the case, God forbid, if there is violence, the peace pact can also be tendered in an evidence. Okay? So the political head will be held responsible. Why so? Because you appended your signature to adhere to the principles of peace, and then the unthinkable happened. So why did it happen? So whoever appends his signature or any kind of group that appends their signature to a peace pact will be held accountable. So you as a person, you as a leader, you have the responsibility, the onus lies on you to respect the peace pact or the agreement that you have signed onto.
Right. Now that then puts the issues into context. A peace pact then is a very important document, if you will. Now, what has been the historical impacts then of peace pacts in Ghana in previous elections? From where you stand, have they genuinely contributed to maintaining peace in Ghana?
Very, very, very much so. The peace pact and the pact that we have signed on to have contributed significantly to the peace that we are enjoying. Why do I say so? Now, imagine there wasn't any peace pact, okay? Now, It is not just some elements of you staying away from violence or whatever, but it goes beyond that. If there was no peace pact in the 2020 elections, we would have had even more violence than we experienced, okay? Now, the peace pact in the past measured the utterances of political leaders. It measured the activities, okay, of one threat that we've always been dealing with, that is vigilantism.
Right.
So the Peace Pact is very important in that in our dispensation, it gathers elections that it curtails, it curbs any ills, any threats to security and peace. That is unforeseen. So immediately any group wants to foment trouble, their leaders will quickly point out to them that they have signed their peace pact. It is their signature that is on. So any kind of problem, they will be held responsible. And then their followers will have to calm down and obey their leader. So it is very important that have helped positively in our election space.
Well, the NDC has expressed concerns about the Peace Pact, labeling it as ineffective. From a security standpoint, are these concerns valid? I mean, you cite electoral violence that we've seen, even in instances where Peace Pact has been signed. It hasn't been foolproof. Do you see where the NDC is coming from as they express concerns?
Okay, well, you can understand that when a political party hasn't received or hasn't gotten their view, the fair playing field, to raise issues. Now, one would argue in 2020, yes, there was a peace pact signed, but there was violence.
That's right.
Let's analyze the situation very well. How did the violence emanate? Was it against a political party and another political party, or state apparatus versus a political party? We need to look at all these dynamics. Now, notwithstanding, the fact that you have a peace pact doesn't mean you would not experience some level of violence. The peace pact is there as a preventive mechanism. Now, with regards to this political party raising issues, now, it may be they felt that in the past, things have gone against them. Their members were victims. Now, till date, we haven't had any sort of justice with regards to those who lost lives.
That's right. People are asking for closure. For closure.
Exactly. Now, let's not forget the Ayahuasca which will go on incident.
That's right.
So it is only fair for a political party or any political party to express concerns that state institutions, state security apparatus, i.e. the police, the military, and the electoral commission,
right,
is independent and resilient in their mandate. Now, when a state institution is resilient and independent, there will be no political interference. There will be no kind of interference with regards to the operations of that institution, and you will be rest assured that when that happens, all political parties will feel safe. They will be convinced that it's a fair playing field and will append their signature to whatever peace pact that is being called.
Close it from your end.
Now, for those who side with the NDC, they believe that signing a peace pact, right, or those who understand the sentiments of the NDC, they believe that signing a peace pact without addressing underlying issues, we've talked about electoral violence and what some perceive as bias in state institutions and inadequate security measures, would be ineffective. On that front, do you agree that sometimes the optics of signing a peace pact is just that, optics? It's like putting a plaster on a gunshot wound?
I tend to agree with those who are expressing those sentiments that signing a peace pact without addressing the ills, in the society, the ills that have been raised by civil society groups, that have been raised by the academia, that have been raised by research centers, without addressing these ills. What are they? The corruption, the intimidation, the interference with regards to state apparatus, to the gains of the ruling government. Now, if these things are not addressed, and it seems that the state apparatus, the powers that be, are using the state apparatus to their advantage against the other political parties, then you will rest assured that nobody will be interested in signing a peace pact. Not if even you bring a Nobel Peace Prize winner to be the lead focal person, they will not sign. So it is very crucial that all those things that civil society groups have raised with regards to peace and security, with regards to electoral processes, with regards to the security services, procedures, enhancing your position, enhancing such groups will have to be addressed. Okay? You need to foster that trust. You need to build that trust for the people to know that going into 2024, they are rest assured that there will not be any kind of intimidation, there will not be any kind of processes to kill elections in the favor of a ruling government or the other. So it is very important that the concerns that people are raising, that not addressing the situations, events, and evils that have happened in the past till now, okay, would render any peace pact non-active.
Now, if a peace pact is deemed insufficient, what alternative measures or strategies, from where you said, do you think could be employed to ensure a peaceful election in the absence of a peace pact, for example? What should all of us be thinking about?
Yes. Now, we all know without a peace pact, there are political parties, appending signature to a peace pact, the elections will go on whether they like it or not. But then, you wouldn't also want to have an suspicion of things where parties or groups have not ascended to a collective goal. We are a country, we are people, we believe in a collective goal. And the collective goal is that we agree that before, during, and after, we would adhere to the principles of peace. Now, irrespective, let's play the scenario game. If the NDC does not sign, okay,
right,
the request that they made have not been met by bringing the CJ and whatnot. And let me be very frank here. Now,
right.
The request with regards to what they have stated, for me, in my personal opinion, okay, is not something that cannot be done. You want to be the CJ? You want to be the IGP? It can be done. Now, the state institutions, thereby I mean the National Peace Council mandated to oversee this, can even leverage on this. Leverage on this to their advantage and to even build trust, not only with regards to the NDC or the other political parties, the country at large. Now, what has to be done? We need a multi-stakeholder consultation. Now, bring these parties that have raised concerns back to the table. Involve those who are required because of extra. And we want to say it's so difficult to see into it. But talk about the election security task force. We know the IGP is the head.
That's right.
Other sister security agencies, the reps of the CJ, the reps of the Attorney General, all of these are there. So that's why it is not a difficult thing. Have a consultative meeting with regards to all the stakeholders that are there. They raise a consensus. Let these people append their signature. And it's a collective goal, it's a collective goal of the country that these prominent people who are in the realm of affairs will append their signature. So it won't be just one political party or two political parties.
Right.
But now it's been a multi-sector agreement that everybody will be held accountable. Okay?
That's
so
right.
This has even created an opportunity for us as a country, as institutions, as peace builders, to look at not just bilateral agreements, but multi-sector or multi-consultations. That is yet towards sustaining the peace.
That's certainly an interesting perspective.
Come again?
So that's certainly an interesting perspective to bring many other parties on board.
Exactly, because when you're talking about peace, irrespective, you're dealing with the two main political parties. They are not the only ones.
That's right.
Okay, when you're talking about peace, it involves actors from the security sector, from the private sector, from the CSOs, the grassroots, the academia. It's a multi-sectoral aspect. So I think this has created a big opportunity that if they leverage on, everything can go smoothly. So I think they should work on how to get these individuals on board, get the party on board also,
Right.
and then the peace pact can be signed. But irrespective, a peace pact when signed does not mean that there won't be violence if the preventive mechanisms are not put in place. If the state institutions are not independent and resilient in fulfilling their mandate.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Dr. Victor Doke, peace and security expert. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're talking national peace and partisanship. Get involved in the conversation. Give us a follow on all of our socials. You can find us on X, Facebook, and also on Instagram.
3FM.
And you're live on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. My name is Johnny Hughes. We'll go on to the phone line now. Fallouts from the National Peace Council's meeting with the National Democratic Congress, trying to persuade them or convince them to sign on to a peace pact. Well, the NDC has put out its cards indicating that there are prerequisites or conditions precedent that must be satisfied before they get across that bridge. Being joined on the phone line by Reverend Father Michael Kweku, the Director for Governance, Justice and Peace of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference at the Catholic Chaplain for Parliament. He's coming right on the back of Dr. Victor Doke, Peace and Security Expert. Father, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, 60.
This is Johnny, actually, Father.
Oh, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Good to hear from
How
you.
are you, Johnny?
Very, very
And
well.
greetings to all your listeners.
Great. Father, let's begin the conversation this way. I mean, I'm sure you've been monitoring the back and forth between the National Peace Council and the National Democratic Congress. First of all, do you think that the position of the National Peace Council trying to impress on the NDC to sign the peace pact is fair?
Well, I wouldn't get to the debate on fairness or otherwise. I think I'd rather look at whether it is good for our country, and I think my answer will be in the affirmative. I think every step that we must take to ensure the peace of our country is a good one. Well, when we get into fairness, the questions of fairness, it would then be what NDC thinks of it or what the Peace Council, thinks of it. But is it good? Is it useful? I think yes. So we must all do all it takes for the good of our country and for the peace of our country. That would be my take on
I see.
it.
Now, the ordinary man on the street will ask, can there be peace without justice? Because if I go and sign on to a peace pact and there is peace, but then I feel unjustified, I ask you now, can there be peace without justice?
Well, I think it is also fair to state that there must be justice. I mean, justice and peace go hand in hand. So there must be justice. That we agree. But what we don't want to do is to look at justice from just one's own perspective alone. So I think that one of it is important to pay attention to all the issues that our brothers and sisters in the NDC are bringing, as concerns. We must also not take the position that it is just the duty of some other person to secure peace. So I particularly hold that we must pay attention to their concerns, because they are concerns not only of 92.7. We must do for those who are aggrieved and so continue to build peace. But as I say, it shouldn't be that it is the duty of, say, just the EC or the Peace Council or the incumbent government. It is.
Hello, Father, your line is not clear enough. You have to kindly position yourself, or we would have to call you back, sir. So reposition yourself. Let's see if it works, sir.
Okay. Is it any better now?
It's better now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying that I believe that the concerns that have been raised by our brothers and sisters in the NDC party ought to be properly attended to, because they are not only their concern, but the concern of the whole country. If there's any form of injustice or any grievances, they have to be addressed. So I think we have to address them. But what I'm advising against is any posturing that appears to bring the duty of working for peace on just some parts of the country or some group of individuals, because it's the duty of all of us, the NDC, NPP, and everybody included. So whilst they are brought in as their concern, it must be looked at as the concern of the nation, towards which we must all work, and everyone must do their bit to make sure that peace becomes a reality.
Now, question again that stands is, if we all understand the concept of peace, why is it necessary to put pen to paper in the name of a peace pact before we know that we have to keep the peace?
Well, I think that that is a fair question. But you see, peace is a project. Peace is a project. It's not merely a feeling. Peace is a state that is created. So if signing a paper is part of the process, why not? Because you see, the human language sometimes is symbolic. Sometimes it is word. Sometimes it is spoken. Sometimes it is not spoken. So gestures have value. So if signing a paper is an unspoken language affirming our desire for this project of peace, then I don't think we must underestimate it. So yes, the actions that must underpin peace ought to be done. The processes that must be ensured that there is peace must not be neglected. But we must not underestimate the power of symbolic actions as well. So it is not insignificant in our project of building peace.
These peace pacts will not be the first. I mean, this particular one will not be the first we're signing on to. In your opinion, did we keep to the dictates of the pact we signed in the past, some in the presence of His Royal Majesty 2482 and others? In fact, at the last count, the Electoral Commission put together a 40-member team comprising ex-President Rawlings, etc., to be a mediating team, etc. Do we actually keep what we sign?
I think to a large extent we do. We might not wholly sign on to it or be put to it, but I think we do. We have had disturbances. We have had various unfortunate incidences. But by and large, the fact that we have the relative peace in our country shows that they are not without importance or consequence. So I think that whilst they may not be said to be 100% successful, they have contributed their bit to the building of the peace of the country.
We know what peace is. We know how important it is. But we only wait for electioneering period for us to talk about peace and make a whole hue and cry about it and ask people to put pen to paper. Is that a way to go, Sofo?
I think that is a matter of perception. I know, for instance, that the National Peace Council has...
Hello, Reverend Father.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Father, I can hear you. You know that the National Peace Council has done what?
I've been working around the clock and around the year, working on peace on various levels, on chieftaincy matters, on other forms of grievances. The only thing that gives the impression that we are only talking about peace now is because we are talking about elections. So this is, peace in reference to a political process. But the National Peace Council, the Catholic Bishops Conference, all the various stakeholders in peace building have been working around the clock and around various peace issues. So the perception that we only speak about peace during election, I don't think is correct. We have been working around peace around the clock, around the year. But this perception is only because we are in an electioneering process and in an election year. So I think that is where we have to correct our perception of what we have been doing in peace building around the country. Well,
this is not a matter of just perception. It's also a matter of reasoning from the Peace Act, right? The National Peace Council Act 818-2011. The core function of the council is to prevent, manage, and resolve conflict and to build sustainable peace. Prevent, manage, and resolve conflict and to build sustainable peace. Now, in preventing violence from happening, 8 people died in Techiman South. That matter remains unresolved. And that is one of the key things that the NDC, a very important stakeholder in the forthcoming election, says, because of that, we will not sign. Because of what happened at Ayawaso West Wogon, we will not sign. And that sustainable peace and resolution of that conflict has not happened. So that's why I asked you that question, that why do we only talk about this when it's getting towards an election?
I think that the conversation is an ongoing one, and that is why I'm particularly I commend my brothers and sisters of the NDC for bringing it up that these are national issues of national interest that we must all pursue in the interest of justice and peace. So I think that we must continue and we must find justice for these those who are aggrieved. We must find those who are responsible for it, and they must be called to book. But as I say, the efforts at building and maintaining peace are not only referred, they don't start only during election time. But we'll be working sometimes overtly, sometimes covertly, but definitely working around the clock and around the year for peace building. As I said before, it's a process, and sometimes it is too slow, but we are working nonetheless.
Your Peace Council has asked for $1 million dollars or cedis to help you in your work. I don't know if you have that money, but if you don't have that money, how do you propose to forge forward in this your agenda to maintain peace in Ghana?
Well, I'm unable to say if we have the money because I'm not privy to those details. But definitely, peace building is an expensive business, and it takes various resources to make sure that it happens. And if this is the amount that we think we need going forward, what I will do is to entreat all the necessary stakeholders, government and otherwise, to make sure that we find the necessary resources, pecuniary or otherwise, able to then make sure that the work of the Peace Council is done, in a smooth and effective manner.
If the NDC doesn't sign and decides not to heed to your pleas, what next?
I believe that the NDC is committed to peace, as everyone in the country is. We believe that they are committed to peace, and I perceive their plea as a concrete way of saying that they are committed to peace, but some conditions need to be dealt with. So I would believe that our brothers and sisters in the NDC are committed to peace, and as the NDC and all others. But if it must take negotiations to make sure that they come to the signing of this, where we will try to have that conversation. As I've said before, the Catholic Bishops' Conference already has plans to meeting, the many stakeholders in this process,
right?
Talk to the flag bearers to see what we can all do. The conversation has to be had. For me, it is better to talk than not to talk. So if they've made the conditions available, and open to us, we will talk around them. We will see how we can build consensus going forward.
So we'll have to leave it here. But before you go, I'm looking at the days that we have before we go to the polls. The register exhibition is ongoing. What's the plan of the National Peace Council to drill down this message of peace, even while we wait for the NDC to sign on to this peace pact?
The National Peace Council is in collaboration with the 92.7 all the various in the peace building, architecture, to be able to continue drilling down the message of peace. We will talk. We will grant interviews. We will engage stakeholders. We will address outstanding issues.
Right.
And we'll continue to make sure that we make our people understand once again and for all that Ghana is the only country we have, and it must be the concern and the duty of everyone to work towards peace. Nothing should be prized beyond the peace that this country desires and needs for the holistic and integral development of its members.
Reverend Father Michael Kweku is the Director for Governance, Justice and Peace of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference and the Catholic Chaplain for the House of Parliament. I thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Great. And there you have it right there.
Peace. Is it underrated or overrated? Peace has not been 92 overrated, but rather underrated.
Why do you say that?
I say so because we don't understand it. And if we do, we will bring it to, you see, you can't overrate or underrate peace. But
peace is peace.
Peace is peace. But then peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is not the absence of challenges or problems or trials.
Right.
But peace is the awareness of your state and the knowledge that God is there with you, so it's okay.
So we're going to an election.
Yes, sir.
We'll sign peace pacts. Political party A, B, C, D will come and sign peace pacts. I pledge.
What is the need? What is the use of signing peace pacts if everybody understands peace? Thank you.
But then we sign these peace pacts. And then we go and see election violence. For example, the last election, 8 people died. We have not spoken about
so
it.
Signing we're going to sign another one. Bring peace. It is the knowledge of it and knowing the value of it that brings peace.
But whose job is that?
In the morning.
Everybody's job.
In society.
It's society's job. When greed, selfishness, self-centeredness disappears from society, peace becomes automatic. So you don't need everybody to stay away from these 3 before you know you have peace. But you create them for yourself. Be an advocate of peace. Be everywhere you go, let peace be the aura, the energy around you.
Right.
Now, peace is the desire to look foolish in the sight of everyone who thinks they are right, but you know they are wrong, yet for peace sake you keep quiet.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.